Well, I beat the drum and hold the phone. The sun came out today. We're born again. There's new grass on the field. Around the third and headed for home. It's a brown-eyed, handsome man. Anyone can understand the way I feel. Oh, put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Look at me. I can be center field. Well, I spent some time in the Mudville night watching it.
Well, so much has happened in this week of baseball so far that they're having me do a little midweek episode for you guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dugout. My name is Tobey Schulman, and this is an MLB Roundup show here on Bleacher Brothers Sports Network for 102.9 The Game. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go over the scores from the last few days of MLB games, and then we're going to talk about how bad the Chicago White Sox truly are and why they could be the worst team in Major League Baseball history, have the worst record of all time. Heston Kjerstad gets the call up for Baltimore. We're going to talk about him and a little bit of what's left in that Baltimore farm system, as it seems like a lot of these guys are starting to graduate and enter the big league club already. Mason Miller, he's just might be the most fun pitcher to watch in baseball. We're definitely going to talk about him. And then Jordan Walker, he gets sent down. This was the Cardinals' biggest prospect a couple of years ago, so that's pretty interesting there. We'll touch on that. And we'll get into some of our picks as well for the later half of this episode. And all the picks for today, we've got a pick for every single game. So we're just going to get right into the scores here and start with Monday. And we're going to get into Yankees and Athletics first. A's took this first game 2-0. JP Sears, he came in and he faced his old team and he got revenge. He didn't pick up the win in the game, but he went strong 7 innings. Rodon also looked great, but unfortunately, a Zach Geloff home run was all it took from the A's to win that game 2-0. Pirates, Jared Jones got it done yet again. The Pirates won that game 4-2. O'Neal Cruz broke his slump with 3 hits, and Jones just cruised right through the Brewers lineup. He looks great, and you just love seeing that for the Pirates. They seem to get these guys that come up from the farm and just boost that rotation every single year. So that'll be awesome, like I said, to see Paul Skeens come up and Quinn Priester break out a little bit as well. Phillies, Reds. Reds got shut out in this game. Ranger Suarez pitched a great game. Hunter Green, not so much. He picked up his second loss of the season. Tigers, Rays. Tariq Skubal, he did his thing. He went for his 3rd win and lowered his ERA down to 1.82. Had 9 strikeouts in 6 innings. Mark Canha, Parker Meadows, they homered as the Tigers won that game 7-1. Marlins, Braves. I bet you guys could guess what happened here. Braves won this game 3-0. Surprisingly, though, the Marlins did have 8 hits to tie the Braves' amount of hits as well at 8. Travis d'Arnaud, he homers. He's been red hot lately. And Bryce Elder, he got his first win of the season. White Sox, Twins. Another one where you can kind of guess what happened. The Twins shut out the White Sox 7-0 here. Kepler, 3 RBIs in his return from the IL, and the Twins shut out the White Sox there. Blue Jays, Royals. Kikuchi continues his strong start on the season. He's 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA. Bo Bichette with a 3-run triple. That helped the Blue Jays take down the Royals 5-3. Diamondbacks, Cardinals. Cardinals got the game won. Nolan Gorman, he snapped his slump with a walk-off home run. And 5-3 was all it took. Helsley came in and he got the win for the Cardinals. Padres, Rockies. Dylan Cease, he came in, got the win, 3-1, 1.82 ERA. That looked like a great addition for the San Diego Padres, like we've talked about in the previous episode. He allowed 1 hit, in just 7 innings pitched at Coors Field. That's pretty unheard of. And the Padres took that game 3-1. On the side of the Orioles and Angels, Mike Trout got caught looking to end a bases loaded game, and the Orioles would escape 4-2. Not something you see very often from Mike Trout. I believe the last time I can think of Trout striking out in a very high pressure situation like this was the World Baseball Classic with Shohei Ohtani. But that was way more high pressure than this game. Craig Kimbrell looks like he still's got it. And we'll see if he starts to mix in that changeup a little bit more. We saw that clip with Bryson Stott a couple weeks ago, so maybe Kimbrell is still just as dominant as ever. But to end out that Monday night, Giants and Mets. Giants took that game 5-2. Jose Quintana got his second loss of the game. Keaton win sharp again, and Michael Conforto homers. Giants got that W, and the Mets took their 10th loss of the season. Now going on to Tuesday, we've got the Red Sox and Guardians, and the Guardians won this game 4-1. Tanner Houck, although he hasn't been bad at all, he picked up his second loss of the year. Clase his 7th save. 7 hits to 6 hits. Close game for sure, but the Guardians were able to pull that one out 4-1. Pirates got the second win of that series against the Brewers. They look great, even though Gary Sanchez tried to bring the Brewers back. 432-foot home run from him. Wasn't enough. 2-1 Pirates score. They won that game. Phillies Reds. Reds came back, and they took game 2, 8-1. 9 hits to 5, and Elly De La Cruz, he mashed another home run opposite field. He just looks incredible. The best power speed threat in baseball right now. And yeah, Ronald Acuna is second best to that list. Dodgers Nationals. Dodgers took that game 4-1. Shohei Ohtani, he looks like he's just getting better. And he's recovering from Tommy John surgery as well, which is kind of unreal to think about. 450-foot homer in Washington. Pretty insane stuff from Shohei Ohtani. The fact that he's this valuable without being a pitcher still. I mean, we'll see what happens when he comes back on the mound, but he could still battle for that MVP spot in the NL this year. Tigers-Rays game 2. Tigers took that. Riley Green in front of family. He hit 2 homers, and he tallied 3 RBIs in that win as well. A's-Yankees. The A's didn't quite get that second win, 4-3. The Yankees took it. It was a close one, and it was a nail-biter. And I was really, really nervous about this one. But, Marcus Stroman was able to pull out that win. Paul Blackburn, Yankees handed him his first L of the season, and Clay Holmes came in for his 9th save, despite it being probably one of the most heart attack-inducing saves I've ever seen from Clay Holmes. He got it done. A's out hit the Yankees. Doesn't matter. Yankees still took that game 4-3. Braves shut out the Marlins again. 5-0, 10 hits to 3 hits. Max Fried, he pitched a Maddox in this game, an under 100 complete game shutout. I love seeing this from Max Fried, especially when, he didn't get off to the greatest start. His ERA is 4.97, so he's not looking too hot. But this game was a great outing for him, so maybe that's a sign of better things to come for Max Fried. Hopefully, as a Braves fan, you'd want that with the absence of Spencer Strider. So great to see him, Elder, get up in this series and kind of get back on track against a pretty weak Marlins team, to say the least about them. Twins, White Sox. Twins escaped this one 6-5 with a win. Not much else to say. Not really going to dive too much into a game where you almost beat the White Sox, but that's all I'm going to say about that game. 10 hits to 8 on the side of that game. Cubs, Astros. Mike Tauchman, his second home run of the night, gave them a 7-2 win. JP Francie's 0-3. Not really a fan of anyone from this rotation right now, unless your name is Framber Valdez or Justin Verlander. I don't like anything that's coming out of this bullpen either, to be honest. I'm not even a big Josh Hader guy right now. Just not a fan. Cubs take that game 7-2. Astros 7-17. Not looking good for them. We'll talk about the standings after the little recap where everybody sits, but might be time to worry if you're an Astros fan. Royals, Blue Jays. Royals took that game 3-2. You want to talk about pitchers who are 0-3? Kevin Gausman's on that list. I'm not sure I would have thought about that at the start of the season, but that's just where we're at right now. Gosman has not looked very good. Royals won that game 3-2, 8 hits to 9. Arizona, they took game 2 against St. Louis 14-1. This team loves scoring in the double digits when they do win. They weren't going to let the Cardinals feel that walk-off home run too much. They were going to just come in. Pavin Smith, he hits a grand slam, and that was all she wrote. 14-1 over there. Mariners, Rangers, Julio Rodriguez. Get the date on this one. First home run of the season for Julio Rodriguez, and everybody knows what that means in Major League Baseball. Once Julio gets started, there is no stopping him. It's only a matter of time. Logan Gilbert, he lowers his ERA down to 1.87 with a 2-0 record. He looks great, and with George Kirby and Luis Castillo not off to the best starts, that's a really big bonus for them to have Gilbert pitching the way that he is. He's a guy who's going to go out there and give you 5-6 innings and not walk many batters. So if he can be playing like he's a strong 2 instead of a 3 or a 4 in the rotation, that's amazing for them. Rockies took game 2 against the Padres. Brendan Rodgers, he hit a grand slam, and that one helped propel them to a 7-4 win. Not what you want if you're a Padres fan. You're trying to push the Dodgers for this division lead, and you're dropping games to the Rockies, who are still being investigated, I believe, for that little mishap on that United flight. But going back to Baltimore and LA, the Angels defeated Baltimore in the game 2, 7-4. Mike Trout, he struck out looking to end that game. Wasn't going to happen this time. He homered in this game, his 9th of the year, I believe. It was a leadoff one, and he's been in the leadoff role a little bit more. If I'm the Angels, I absolutely love this. You want to try and get Trout's trade value up, which I don't think it's what they're doing at all. I just think they're trying to give him the most at-bats. Giving him the most at-bats will boost his trade value if he's going to hit like this. I mean, he's Mike Trout. He doesn't need much other things to happen in his game to make his trade value go up. But having him get more at-bats is always going to help your offense, and I wish that this was a move that they honestly made way sooner. Giants-Mets. Giants took this game. Mike Yastrzemski, his 3 RBI day, helped them out big time. 5-1 win. Logan Webb gets his 3rd win. Severino picks up the loss. And Camilo Duvall gets his 4th save of the year. Now moving on to Wednesday the 24th. And we're going to start out with the Arizona and Cardinals game. Cardinals, they sealed the win here. And although Ketel Marte tried, wasn't enough. 5-1. They took game 3. Jordan Montgomery, he looked good in his first start, but unfortunately it wasn't nearly enough in this one. He got his first loss of the season. His ERA now goes to 2.77. Going down to the Mets and the Giants, the Mets were able to take this game. Francisco Lindor had an amazing day, 2 home runs at the plate. You want him to get hot so badly if you're a Mets fan. It's been way too long, and it seems like this happens every single year where Lindor gets off to a pretty slow start. And, if I'm Mets fans, I'm starting to get really sick of it. But hopefully this is a sign of good things to come. Again, he's a great player, a great hitter, a great fielder. So he should be fine, but I hate seeing Lindor start off slow. It seems like every single year. You want to talk about teams who aren't starting off very slow, though? The Orioles, they have been jumping the Yankees for the AL East standings. And they took this game 3. Gunnar Henderson, he got them started with a solo home run, and they never looked back. 9 hits to 6, 6-5 win. Kramer got the win there. Anderson got the loss, and Craig Kimbrell came in for his 7th save. Red Sox Guardians. Red Sox would shut out the red hot Guardians here. Carlos Carrasco. Seems like for the Guardians, that's going to be their throwaway pitcher. He's 1-2 with a 4.63. Not much to say other than Connor Wong crushing a pair of home runs. Really nothing else to talk about here. Just a great win for the Red Sox. 16 hits, 8 runs, no runs given up. So you want to see great start from Criswell. Brewers Pirates, 3-2 win for the Brewers there. One back. This Brewers team, you don't want to see them skid like this to a division rival like the Pirates. But for Pirates fans, it's great to see these guys come in and take the first 2 games, try to get you guys back and cover some ground in the standings a little bit. but the Brewers weren't going to let you win every single game. And despite Brian Reynolds trying to get them back and take this game, wasn't enough. Brewers took this game 3-2, like I said. Phillies Reds would take this one, and 7-4. And again, despite being out hit 11-10, they still scored 3 more runs, and the loss would go to Sir Anthony Dominguez here. Alexis Diaz would come in and get his 5th save. So close game, but Reds overall took it. Dodgers Nationals, Ohtani, another great night. He had RBI doubles in back-to-back innings, and the Dodgers had 20 hits in this game compared to the Nationals 3, so an 11-2 blowout win for the Dodgers. It's about what you expect from them, so not going to talk too much more about that. Tigers Rays took this game, and they hit 11 times. Tigers hit 7, and a close 7-5 win. Curtis Mead, he's starting to get going a little bit. 2-run home run gave the Rays their 7-5 lead and helped them take that win. The absence of a certain somebody at shortstop, you definitely need guys like Curtis Mead and all of your other prospects. Carson Williams, like I've talked about, who isn't up, but you need guys like that to come in and start succeeding, especially with guys like Yandy Diaz, Zach Paredes trying to carry their weight on the team. You just need that if you're a Rays fan. Aaron Judge in the Yankees-A's game, he started to get back to his hitting ways. He hit a home run after striking out. The strikeout pitch, looking back on it, I wish I got this clip, but, if you can look it up, go and look it up. Aaron Judge struck out on a pitch that was a balk. Next pitch, he went around and took it yards. So that's just baseball sometimes. Clark Schmidt got the win there, 2-0 record for him, 3.55 ERA. There's been talk of him going back to that, middle relief role once Garrett Cole comes back. It's a pretty clogged rotation now with Stroman, Rodon, Cortez, and Luis Gil. I would love to see Clark come out of the bullpen personally. I think he's better in shorter innings. But, we'll see what happens with the Yankees. They took that game 7-3. Braves Marlins. Marlins finally scored, but it wasn't enough. Braves won that game 4-3. Michael Harris, he drove in Acuna to walk it off, and the Braves would take that game. AJ Minter would get the win, 4-1 record for him. He's got a 1.50 ERA. White Sox, they dropped another game to the Twins, 6-3, and Willie Castro hits a 3-run home run on his birthday to help secure that 3-run win for the Twins. Joe Ryan picks up the win. Garrett Crochet picks up the loss. He's starting to skid a little bit, but again, it's the White Sox. He's going to have zero help offensively pretty much. So, take with a grain of salt that loss column that's going to be on Crochet's name, as well as his ERA too. I mean, he's still a great pitcher. I wouldn't look at the stats too heavily with any of these White Sox guys in this rotation. They're just going to get brutally hit this entire year. Houston and Chicago. The Cubs took this game 4-3. Dansby Swanson, he helped lead them with a home run. 3-run dinger for him, 4-3 win. Jameson Taillon picks up the win, and his ERA is looking pretty good now too. Going down the line here to the Royals and the Blue Jays. Bobby Witt Jr., he continues to look like an MVP caliber type player. They took this game 3-2 over the Blue Jays. So a close game for them, 9-6. It seemed to be errors here that seemed to be the real margin of victory for the Royals. 2 errors on the Blue Jays and allowed the Royals to have more chances on offense. Obviously, not what you want from the Blue Jays. Having a guy like Vlad Jr. at first who does make the occasional error definitely doesn't help. And watching Anthony Rizzo so far for the Yankees, I definitely can feel for that. Mariners dropped another game to the Rangers, 5-1. Bryce Miller, he got the loss, his second of the year. Adolis Garcia thought that he was robbed of a home run, but I guess he wasn't. 5-1 win for the Rangers there, and a 5-2 win for the Padres as Ha-Sung Kim got him going with a 2-run double to opposite field. That's all she wrote there in Colorado, 5-2 for the Padres. And that's going to take us into Thursday, and we'll get into that slate of games soon. But I think we're going to take a break here at the 20-minute mark of this episode. You are listening to Back to the Dugout on Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm Tobey Schulman, and we will be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's a 3-2 count, and here's the pitch. Okay.
Black baseball, it was a known fact, Jack. With the weather so hot, who could play like Danny Day? The greatest and the best, like the Satchel Brother Page. Long time and Little Bump in the Hall of Fame. Like Josh and Buck, be alert, duck. Everybody was down for being peanuts. Foxes in the Sunday's best, the brightest dress.
And on deck, said G. Now baseball today, group is.
Well, I said we'd recap the standings, so I feel like we should just get right into that. Welcome back, everybody, to Back to the Dugout. I'm Tobey Schulman here on Bleacher Brothers Sports Network for 102.9 The Game. We're going to jump right into the AL standings here. Yankees sit atop the AL East right now by half a game. Boston's behind in third place by 3 games. Toronto in fourth by 4. And the Rays sit in last with a 4.5 game back deficit of the lead. So this division still is up for grabs for pretty much anybody. The Yankees and Orioles are going to probably yo-yo the entire time, I imagine. And Red Sox, I'm sure they'll float around as long as they can manage these injuries. Blue Jays, I'm sure they'll also be in play. And then the Rays, they're the Rays as well. So everybody knows that's going to be a dogfight of a division. So moving down to the Central, Cleveland, they have a 2.5 game lead already. The Royals are starting to fall 2.5 games back. I think they'll be okay if they manage to be within 4 games, maybe. I don't think, 2.5 games back is like that bad of a deficit for them, especially with the rotation they have and what they're doing. Detroit, 3.5 games back. They'll be fine too, I think. But 3.5 games back right now is a bit more alarming to me. And then Minnesota and the White Sox, it's over. 6.5 games back, 14 games back. I won't say it's over for Minnesota because they could get hot when they get guys like Correa back. It's just that's a big deficit to already have, and with the injuries that they do have, I don't think it's going to get any better. So, I mean, the White Sox, we're going to talk about them here in a few minutes, but they're 14 games back, and they have already just caked their season. I mean, if you're a White Sox fan, I don't know how you do it. 3-21 right now with a 125 win percentage. I'm getting ahead of myself here because I want to talk about that team a little bit more. But moving down to the West, half-game lead for the Texas Rangers over the Seattle Mariners, who, with Luis Castillo starting to look a bit better, and I'm going to talk about him a bit more towards the end of the show, but if they can get their rotation back together, I mean, this could be the Mariners' division for the taking right now with the way Houston's playing. A lot of people didn't see it. The Rangers, they are battling injuries, and, Jack Leiter coming up and not succeeding like the way they wanted him to right away, I think definitely put a bit of a damper in their plans. But a 12-12 Mariners team, half a game back, there's going to be division lead changes for sure. I think it's better for everyone to just kind of accept that in the AL West. But moving down, the Angels are only 3 games back. Is Mike Trout to lead off? Is that the move that they need to get that offense going and get them to get more wins and cut down that lead a little bit? I don't think the Angels will really move from that spot the entire year. If anything, I think they'll drop. But, 3 games back right now, that's not anything to worry about. I mean, this is right where you want to be if you're an Angels fan. It's probably exceeding expectations at this point. We'll just see what happens. I'm still not sold on the Angels. One team I want to be sold on is the A's because they don't look nearly as bad as they've been in years past with guys like Mason Miller, Zach Geloff, Esteury Ruiz, Lawrence Butler, Shea Langoliers. They have a good young team. Not great, and not even good when I say good, but they have a team that has some good pieces on it, and if they don't trade them, I could see them, if the Angels fall, the Mariners skid, the Rangers skid. Who knows with this AL West right now? We could see this Oakland team come up and win this division for all I know. Houston 6 games back. Probably not time to worry yet, considering, you're only 3 games back from third place. But JP France, Hunter Brown, those really worry me. Christian Javier and Framber going to the IL, that really worries me as well. So we're just going to have to see what they do from here pretty much. Moving on to the National League, the Braves with a 17-6 record. This is their division. I've talked about the NL East in the last episode, how this division is pretty much solved already. I would be super surprised if this division isn't the way it is right now in October. Atlanta, Philly, New York, Washington, and then Miami. I think that's the way it's going to stay for the entire season. Should we start to worry about Aaron Judge? I don't think so. There's still 3 months till the All-Star break, so I think it's a bit early to start worrying about a guy who's as good as Aaron Judge. You got to remember he didn't have a spring training as long as he probably would have liked because of that injury. And, there's been rumors that he might still be injured, but, they talked about his batting practice yesterday and how he was really trying to take balls to the opposite field rather than pull everything. I think maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but with Aaron Judge and seeing a guy like Juan Soto, who's such a well put together hitter, I think Judge maybe looked at that and thought, I got to hit home run after home run every time this guy gets on because that's just what I do, and that's just what the Yankees fans need to see. I don't know what Aaron Judge was thinking. I doubt he was really thinking that, but in the back of your head with seeing Juan Soto on base and Volpe get on base before you, you're going to be swinging for the fences. You're going to be pretty swing happy going up there, so that's probably why the strikeout numbers are as high as they are right now, but worrying him right now. I don't think it's time to start worrying about Judge. It's only April. Like I said, there's 3 months to the All-Star break. Should Boone switch the lineup then? I don't know. Boone's going to switch the lineup throughout the season, like regardless. So I don't really know how much of emphasis we should put on the lineup. Volpe, it looks like he's not moving from that leadoff spot, although I wouldn't have moved him to begin with. I think Cabrera should stay down in that 9 spot. If he's not, I don't know why. He does great down there, and he loves, guys like Soto in that top of the order. He's learned a lot from him. So if he's continuing to hit, keep him down there. I would like to see maybe Verdugo get that leadoff spot. I don't love him in the middle of the order. I think he's a guy who just really benefits from the big moment, and giving him more at-bats only gives him bigger moments. So I would rather have probably Verdugo, but Volpe is that like textbook leadoff hitter, like the contact hitter who can get on base, hit for sneaky power. I don't really know if I want to see this lineup change, honestly, because I do like Volpe and then Soto and then Judge, but I'd like to see Verdugo, maybe LeMahieu when he comes back in that leadoff position. That's World Series this year. Cantor, I don't know about that one, man, but 3 years down the line, it's coming back to DC. Dylan Cruz is bringing it home for you guys. I don't hate where the Nationals are at in the standings right now. I'll talk about the NL East a little bit more. Mackenzie Gore is great. CJ Abrams doesn't look that bad this year. Lane Thomas, you hope he can get it going again. So you'll have Robert Hassel, Dylan Cruz coming up, giving you some more reinforcements, James Wood as well. But yeah, I think the Nats can pull out that World Series for sure. But moving on to the Central, Brewers hold that lead by half a game. Cubs still back by half a game. Cincinnati Reds, Pittsburgh Pirates, St. Louis Cardinals, same old from that division. I don't really know how this is going to end up, but I really, seeing the Pirates play the way they did against the Brewers this week, I think they could definitely scooch up to that 2 spot by the end of the year. The Brewers are just looking like a tough team to beat right now, and I really hope the Reds get hot and can take that top spot, because that was my pick before. So yeah, hopefully the Cincinnati Reds can cover that 1.5 game deficit, and hopefully the Brewers can keep it up for their sake. But I mean, the Cubs, they're floating right around that second place mark. And, with the pitching that they have, the guys in the lineup succeeding the way they are, they could also be in play for the division title as well. The only team I think you can really write out here is the Cardinals. And then the West, it's really just, it's going to start to run away as the Dodgers at this point. We could only make fun of them for so long, but they're starting to look like the Dodgers now. Like I mentioned earlier, they put up 20 hits in a win against the Nationals already. Even though they lost a series to the Nationals last week, I think they're starting to get it together. 15-11, they're only 4 games over 500, but, they're still the LA Dodgers with half of a lineup full of Hall of Famers. Andy Page's got the call up. So, I mean, they'll be all right there. Diamondbacks, 3rd place, Padres, 2nd place by 1.5 games back. Dropping games to the Rockies won't help you at all cover that deficit, so I'm starting to take the Padres a little less seriously. Giants, Diamondbacks, 3 games back, and then the Rockies, 8.5 games back. Nothing going for them in Colorado. Speaking of nothing going for them, I'm going to talk about this Chicago White Sox team because it may just be the worst baseball team I've ever seen in my life. Maybe the worst baseball team anyone sees in their lives, period. They're on track right now to lose over 120 games. I'm going to go through their stats in a minute, and it is really rough. But they are going to be, I don't think they'll be the worst team of all time, but they're right now on pace to beat that 1962 Mets team that went 40-120. The team is just terrible. They're riddled by injuries as it is, losing guys like Luis Robert and Yoan Moncada, two of their bats that tend to just bring in more tickets and more people. You go to a White Sox game, and a lot of people probably have a Moncada jersey on or a Robert jersey on. That's just how it is. Not having those guys is going to be a huge blow to the team as it is. Team average of 192. a team on base percentage of 266 and then a team slugging percentage of 290 for an OPS of 556 is just dreadful. Anybody who's not named Gavin Sheets on this team doesn't know how to hit a baseball. It's really depressing. Like, it is really, really bad. Those are numbers that you usually see from one guy or a few guys on the team who are maybe in a really bad slump. I've never seen a team like this bad. And the A's last year were bad, but this is really, really bad. They have a 150. I think it's actually lower now. They have a 125 win percentage. So 3-21. That's just god awful. Like I said, the injuries don't help, but Andrew Benintendi hitting below 200 doesn't help as well. And looking at everything else, I mean, they are seriously dead last in nearly every important offensive metric. Like I said, batting average, on base percentage, slugging, terrible. They're last in everything for that. Home runs, they're last. Runs, they're last. 5.14 ERA is the third worst in the league, I believe, and then their 1.45 WHIP is the 27th worst in the league. So it's just terrible scenes there in Chicago. If you are a fan of the White Sox, it might be time to switch over to a different team. Maybe start to root for the Cubs, even though I know that's a bit of a pain. And if you don't like rooting for the Cubs, root for the Cardinals. I don't know what to tell you. It's just rough scenes in Southside Chicago. It's not rough scenes in Baltimore, though. And they are adding a ton of reinforcements, it seems like every single week. They added Jackson Holliday, and granted that he's struggling, they have had guys like Colton Cowser and Jordan Westberg come up, and they've just been incredible. But they called up their prospect Heston Kjerstad, an Arkansas alumni. And this is a clip of him hitting 2 home runs in one of his last games in AAA, where Baltimore kind of just said, yeah, it's time for this guy to get called up.
Here's Heston Kjerstad. Kjerstad swings, hits it high in the air, deep to left, on the track at the wall, and it is gone! His league-leading 9th long ball.
This is ready. His pitch is swung on and lifted high to right, tailing towards the line, and it's over the short wall in right field. Another home run for Heston Kjerstad, 103 miles per hour, and 10 feet past the 317 marker down the right field line.
So the power's there, the exit velo's there. I totally agree with the Orioles. Heston's ready. He came up a little bit last year, and he didn't look too good, but I feel like that was really only to see if he would be good for the postseason or not, help boost that lineup a little bit and get some depth. But 349, 431, 744 with a 1.176 OPS in 21 games in AAA. He was ready. No doubt if Jackson Holliday was ready, to me that Heston Kjerstad wasn't ready as well. It makes me think that if the White Sox were to go up the way that lineup is right now, if you put all those guys on the AAA Orioles team, the Norfolk Tides, I think that Norfolk Tides team is probably beating the White Sox. And I don't think that's up for much debate. You know, you look at guys through the farm. I mean, I'm just going to go down the list here. I've got 3 more guys from the Orioles that I want to highlight just because I feel like a lot of these guys, Adley, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, like I said, Heston Kjerstad, they're starting to come up in what's left of this farm system at this point. Kobe Mayo, for all my South Florida residents, Parkland native Kobe Mayo. He is an infield prospect, currently in AAA, hitting 340, 388, 649 with a 1.037 OPS. He's ready too. He's got an ETA of 2024, so expect to see him in the bigs pretty soon. Another guy from South Florida representing in the bigs. Love to see that. Moving down to AA, Samuel Basallo. I believe he's in AA. I have to double check that, though. I do know his stats through 15 games. He's hitting 238, but he does have a 287 batting average across all levels. This is a very good catcher, first base prospect that, you know, while they do have Adley Rutschman, they could definitely use some guy at first base or maybe another DH. And, I mean, at the end of the day, depth is depth. And if you really just can't fit him in the lineup, he's a top prospect you can use for a trade piece. So I would love to see Basallo hit this lineup. Don't really know if he's going to, though, because of some of the guys that are already on this lineup. Adley Rutschman behind the plate. Maybe the two of them are a catching tandem. I have no idea. That would also make sense to me too. But one last guy I want to highlight here before we get into a quick break is Enrique Bradfield Jr. from Vanderbilt. 9 stolen bases in 13 games so far in high A. He's not going to be an incredible power hitter, but he raked in rookie ball hitting over 500. So I really, really like his bat, and I love his contact speed combo. And in the field, he's elite, to say the least. He'll be their center fielder, probably to hold down the outfield for years to come once Cedric Mullins starts to decline a little bit. Bradfield shouldn't be coming up until 2026, so they have a lot of time to figure out what they want to do with him, whether they want to stick him in the corners of the outfield or move Mullins around. I think Bradfield needs to be their franchise center fielder. But with that being said, we're going to take one more quick break here. You're listening to Back to the Dugout. I'm Tobey Schulman here for the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network on 102.9 The Game.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Well, we're back, and Cantor, I saw your question, man, and to answer you, I do what I have to do during the breaks, but, won't get into too much detail on that. We've got some bets to give you guys for the end of this episode, but real quick before we do, I want to touch on something that a lot of people are talking about, but I just want to emphasize it because this pitcher seriously is the most fun pitcher to watch in baseball right now. Oakland's closer, Mason Miller, sat down the Yankees in order, struck out the side, Volpe, Soto, and Judge to end the game and shut out the Yankees. And as a Yankee fan, watching that clip, I mean, we'll play it for you guys in a second, but I wasn't even mad. I knew as soon as Miller came into this game, we had no chance. I knew Judge, Soto, Volpe, they were all seeing 103, 102. It's pure octane, as they call it. It's pure octane for Mason Miller, as we saw from that clip a couple weeks ago. But here's that clip from Mason Miller striking out the side in New York on Monday.
Miller trying to bring the noise and close it out here for the Oakland A's. 3 straight sliders here and an 0-2 count to Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
And then that's it. 103 dotted. See you later.
I was going to say, if the folks here in the ballpark haven't seen it and the folks watching the Yankee broadcast haven't seen it, don't feel bad because Anthony Volpe still hasn't seen it either.
Here's the 1-2 to Soto. 103 later.
Yeah, getting the nod of approval from Soto there as well.
Blown. Batten down the hatches.
You know you did something good.
Goodness. Your best, my best. Ding, ding. That's the tardy bell, Mr. Soto. We are going to need to see the hall pass.
There's the pitch, and there's the strikeout. 102 to get Aaron Judge. Volpe,
yeah, well, we knew that was coming.
And Judge had no chance against Mason Miller, who picks up his 5th save of the 2024 season.
Just absolute queso. The judge, it was Mason Miller who was the judge, the jury, and the executioner this afternoon.
Like they said, it was Mason Miller's best versus the Yankees' best, and not to be that guy, but Mason Miller's best is better than everything that anyone with their bat can do on that team. I don't care if Aaron Judge hits 62 home runs in a season. He's not hitting a Mason Miller 103-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't care. Now we get into my picks for today. Like I said, each game I got a pick for it. And as always, Bet365, new accounts only 21 plus. Bet $5, get up to $150 in bonus bets, or you can earn up to $1,000 back on your first loss. Again, must be 21 plus to gamble on Bet365. Going into the 110 games, unfortunately, we did miss a game. The Pirates and Brewers have already started here, so won't get a pick out for that one. But, everything else we do have a pick for. Twins, White Sox, I like the over 8 here. The over is 5-0 in Soroka's last 5 starts overall. Over is also 5-0 in his last 5 starts as an underdog. So I think the over here is a great play. It's also 4-0 in the Twins' last 4 games against a pitcher with a whip greater than 1.30. All these stats you can find on BleacherBrothers.com. When you go to the MLB games, any game for that matter, you could scroll all the way down and find a ton of betting info that helps you place your bets. Moving on down to the Red Sox versus the Guardians. This is an interesting one because it's always hard to bet against the Guardians right now with how good they're playing. But the Red Sox are also sneaky good on the road. They are 8-1 in their last 9 road games versus a right-hander. And Tristan McKenzie has a 5 ERA. So, they're 10-2 in their last 12 road games overall. They're plus money. I'm going with the Red Sox today. When I saw them last, it was plus 120. I don't know if the odds have changed on that at all. I mean, I'm sure you'll find different odds on everything, but Red Sox not favored. I mean, take that all day. 8-1 in their last 9 road games against a right-hander that has a 5 ERA like Tristan McKenzie. Phillies, Reds. This one was one that I was kind of getting stumped on, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not too confident on this pick compared to my other ones. But I'm going to go with the Reds plus 1.5. I know that's kind of a boring play, but the Phillies are 0-5 in Wheeler's last 5 starts against the NL Central, as well as, they're 5-0 in their last 5 versus a right-handed pitcher. So that kind of has me in between. I don't really want to pick a winner there. They're 7-1 in their last 8 following a loss. But at the same time, 0-5 against the NL Central their last 5. I mean, that's a trend you can't really ignore. So I'm going to take the spread there. If the way the Reds have been playing the Phillies, I just don't feel like the Phillies will cover the spread this game. Now that I said that, it probably will happen, but that ends the little 110 slate for us. If you want to throw a little 3-leg 110 p.m. parlay, go ahead. You'll get some pretty good value in there at that Red Sox plus 120 pick. Blue Jays Royals, this is a classic under 7.5 for me, and it's because we've got a pitching duel on the mound today with Cole Reagans and Jose Barrios, who currently has a 0.85 ERA. The under is 5-0 in Barrios' last 5 starts against the AL Central. That's also taking into account, I believe, how awful Barrios was the last couple of years. So that's good stats from me if he's playing that bad and they're still 5-0 against the AL Central. I'll take that. Unders 8-0-1 in Barrios' last 9 starts, scoring 2 or less in their previous game. So that's a little bit more of a weird metric, but again, 8-0-1 in their last 9. The under looks good here. The under is 4-0 in the Royals' last 4 versus a team with a winning record. These are just things you can't ignore. And, thank God BleacherBrothers.com has this stuff because this has made making picks pretty easy for me. So I'll take the under 7.5 there. Astros Cubs, it's another under for me. I don't really like taking unders as it is, but the under 7.5 is what I'm going to go with in this one because it's Verlander versus Javier Assad, 2 guys who have looked pretty good. Unders 10-0-1 in their last 11 interleague games. Under is also 8-0 in the Astros' last 8 against a team with a winning record. And the way that they're playing right now, I would definitely take the under in their bats. Under 7-0-1 in the Astros' last 8 overall, so the bats just really aren't there. And then you got Verlander on the mound, so you got to assume he's going to deal and not give up too many runs. So that's a pick that I really like there, that Astros Cubs under 7.5. Moving on to the Mariners and the Rangers. This is another pick that I just didn't really love. I don't love taking favored money lines. I don't think anybody really does. It's kind of boring, but with this one, I had to go with the Mariners minus 115. Andrew Heaney always throws me off. I always think he's, since he played for the Yankees, I've never been a big Andrew Heaney guy. And, he seems to just only perform good when I have him performing bad. So I'm going to go with the better pitcher in this case and go with Luis Castillo. He looked great in his last outing, put together a real solid start. So I think the Mariners definitely could take this game. They're 5-0 in their last 5 games as a favorite of minus 110 to minus 150. So odds fit there. Rangers are 0-4 in Heaney's last 4 starts. That's a pretty telling stat there in itself. It's really all you got to look at. Heaney's 0-4 in his last 4 starts and 0-5 in his last 5 starts with 5 days rest. So he doesn't play particularly better when they give him a 5-day rest. Hopefully the Mariners can capitalize. Castillo can put together a good outing, and the money line on that one can cash. But Padres-Rockies, the over-under set at 11 here, and I absolutely hate that line. So I took the under. I feel like betting a Rockies under is pretty safe. So, that was the thought process there. But we've got the under 11 because the under is 4-0 in Dakota Hudson's last 4 starts. Also 4-0 when Hudson starts as an underdog. It's enough for me, really. The under is 12-2 in the Padres' last 14 with allowing 2 or less runs in their previous game. That was a mouthful. 11 is a massive line, and that's pretty much the bottom line here is that I don't think the Rockies are scoring that much in this game. I don't know how much the Padres are scoring either, especially with the under being that solid in Dakota Hudson starts. So I like the under 11, just given how big that line is. Dodgers, Nationals. Cantor, if you're still here, man, I'm taking your Nats at plus 160 today. Mackenzie Gore bump day. It should be a national holiday in Washington at this point. He's 5-1 they're 5-1 in Gore's last 6 starts in game 3 of a series. 5-1 in Gore's last 6 starts after allowing 5 or more in their previous game, and 5-1 in Gore's last 6 following a loss in the previous game. So 5-1, all the signs here show to Gore shoving against his Dodgers team. I would love that. I would love to see the Nats at plus 160 come out and take this. Yeah, I think so, Cantor. They took that series against the Dodgers last time. I think they do it again. So that's my pick there. And then my final pick, we've got the A's Yankees under 8. Nothing like fading my Yankees offense a little bit. Yankees are 1-4 in their last 5 versus a lefty. It is the A's, so you take the A's into account a little bit, but the under 6-0 in their last 6 games versus a lefty, so I'll take that into account a little bit more. Nestor should deal for the Yankees. Their record with him is pretty damn solid, so I think Nestor should deal for them. But yeah, the under 8, that's what I'm going with there. So I'll put these all on Twitter. You guys can all see these on the Bleacher Brothers Twitter, my Twitter, T Schulman Report. And pick what you like. I certainly like all of these. The Astros under, like I said. The Red Sox money line I really like. The Nats money line I really like. But again, like I said, all these picks, did do my good bit of research on them, so I feel very good about these. We'll see how good we end up doing with the grand total. But real quick, we seem to have a few more minutes here, so I'll just get into something that I kind of skipped over in the last segment. But the St. Louis Cardinals sent down Jordan Walker after he's been struggling, hitting 145 with a 239 on-base percentage, 259 slugging percentage, and a really bad OPS of 497. This was the right move. I thought about this for a good deal of time when I saw it initially, and you want to typically see guys like Jordan Walker get more of a feel for the majors and let him get some more ABs, let him start to develop a bit of a more matured approach rather than seeing these guys in AAA who are simply just trying to throw strikes and get a paycheck, I feel like, unless you're a top prospect. But Walker was their top prospect a couple years ago, and this is really sad to see because he hit 276 in 117 games last year, so he wasn't bad at all. His fielding looks a lot better, so I doubt he'll be in the minors for that long. But I mean, in a smaller sample size this year, the strikeout rate has been higher, so maybe just give him some time just to find a groove offensively. I think that's what they're doing. I think the media is kind of leading into this way more than it actually is. I think this is simply just get hot in the minors, come back up, get back into your groove. That's really it. He's not doing great against lefties, so that's something he's going to have to work on as well. And then hopefully he'll be back up, within the next month or so. Probably less time than that. But what about Skeens? Well, like I said, I thought Skeens was going to be up within the next couple weeks. I'm hearing a mid-July call-up is more likely. The whole service time manipulation thing that the MLB does is very odd. But like I've said, I mean, you heard earlier, the Pirates are winning games. Bring up Paul Skeens and win more games. I mean, do you want to win games or do you not want to win games? Who cares if you got to pay Paul Skeens? You're going to have to pay him eventually, the way I see it. He's getting Strasburg money. If Steven Strasburg's earning that, Paul Skeens is getting that probably. So Dylan Cruz is the Messiah. I love Dylan Cruz, Jackson. I think he's awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks the top 100 as the new top prospect when that update comes in the middle of the season. Hopefully I see him up in AAA when I'm up there in Syracuse, but I don't know. I love Dylan Cruz. I think he's an awesome hitter, franchise center fielder for you guys. It's an awesome get at that second overall pick last year. But I mean, looking at player props for today, I love Ellie De La Cruz to total over 1.5 total bases. If you want to bet for him to hit a home run too, don't hate that at all. Anthony Volpe over 0.5 hits, I think, is a solid play against a lefty, especially with the Yankees trying to get back into it. Nestor Cortez, his over in strikeouts, I would also consider playing that as well. He's been dealing lately, so I mean, why not give him a shot there? Another guy who I'd maybe take his strikeouts, Verlander or Cole Reagans, could be somebody there. But, just a few player props to leave you guys with there. But it's looking like we are rounding out our time here on Back to the Dugout. Really happy I got to do a Thursday episode for you guys. There's a lot to talk about from this week as it is, and it seems like it's hard enough to fit all of that into one episode on Monday. So great that we got to do this on Thursday. And yeah, just another hour of talking baseball. I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully the White Sox can get it together. And, I'll see you guys Monday to hopefully talk some better news about some of these teams. But yeah, thank you.
In our bad neighborhood. Yes, we were.